What's up? I'm out of focus. Whoa! Look at that car. Nice. This is so weird always. You're just talking to yourself. It's quiet. There is someone here. Already some people here. I see. Let's brand it. Okay, nice. Oh, we have comments. Am I late? I am late. You know why? Because before this, we had a Myako members meeting. Then after that, I had an Invisible Speed live with Ryan Lutz. And now I'm doing this. And I've been putting this off for so long, I decided, you know what? I'm going to do it now. This is a very important alive in our journey here. And this, I had a zit right there. I'm so young. I had a spot and I squeezed it. And now I got a mark. Oh, wow. Okay. Very often 69 is the number we start on, but we are already 67 people here, so we need more people. Do you think we can break 100 today? I don't know. Maybe not. Is that too much? Maybe if we spam Adam Drake, we can get to 100 people watching. So today, Q&A. Sorry. Today, Q&A. I'm gonna show you a Myako. I am building a new Myako because I am making a comeback, in a sense, in the way that I'm joining Degani in the 40+ class in Vegas for Silver State. I'll race nitro and electric buggy. The last time I raced was AMS. So I'm building a new buggy. So I'm going to show you that. I'm going to update you a bit on invisible speed things. And then we have to talk about the importance of understanding and discovering your mental role centers. That's going to be for the end. That is going to be a deep discussion. But now we have Q&A until we reach a certain amount of viewers. So what amount of viewers would that be? What would be good? 69, no, because we are already 69 people. So maybe I think 100. You know what? Fuck it. If we don't reach 100, I'm not going to tell you about mental role centers. That's just how it's going to be. So we need all of you here to please share this YouTube stream wherever you can so that we reach 100 people. And then I promise I will do it. Okay? Okay. So now Q&A until we reach 100 people. So please share this stream wherever you can. Maybe I should share it myself, actually. Too retarded for these things, you know. You know, you share it first. Let's see if we can gain some viewers. Then I don't need to share it. Let's see if we have questions in chat. Here we go. I need help with what springs to use for different track conditions. Do you have a video that explains this? Yes, in the online course, there's videos on springs also, or in the Invisible Speed book, we talk about springs. But springs is something that it changes so much of how the car handles that drivers tend to settle on sort of one pairing of springs. And then most of the time they just run that. And then it's one of the last things that they change, really. Going to harder springs if it's a very high speed, high grip track, for example. That could be one thing they do. Or if it's a very super bumpy, low grip track, maybe they will go to softer springs. But very often the springs actually from track to track remain the same. And instead of changing the springs, drivers change the pistons, the shock oil, the shock positions, the droop, those kind of things, anti-roll bars. So they are preferred over changing the springs. How hub height affects roll center? Changed to hubs with lower hinge pin height and got much better stability. Could put camber link higher on tower, but don't had the wheel going too much camber out in corner. Okay. This is once again one of these questions which is challenging to understand. But how does hub height affect roll center? Well, the way, so hub height, you mean basically what he's talking about is the height of this axle compared to the arm. So axle height. Low axle height means that the axle is closer to the arm. High, that it's further away. I would not think about roll center when I'm changing this. Normally on cars, it should be a small difference, like 1 mil. Some cars have a big change, which I'm not a fan of. It's too big. The change is too big. But the way to think about this, in my opinion, is not to worry about roll center, but more so when you have a lower axle height, you have more side bite, more initial grip. In a corner, going in, like normally we change this on the rear of the car. So going into the corner with a low axle height, you'll have good grip. But then mid corner, you might lose that traction. But then when you get on power, you have grip again. This is very good for situations where the track is smooth and you need to rotate around corners, for example, and you can drive aggressively. So you're confident going into the corner, then the rear kind of slides out just a bit. You get on power, you catch it again, and you go. So it's very fast. But it can be a problem where the track is inconsistent, where you have bumps in corners or you have dust in corners, for example, because then you can drive in and hit some dust and just spin out. That's a problem. Or you will catch the bumps in the corner. That's another problem. So then you would raise the axle height. So you raise the axle height. The axle is further from the arm. And then the car is more forgiving. So the difference between traction, no traction is less. It's smoother. And the car will slide over bumps better. So the way I would think about that is not to worry about roll center. Just think about, do you want more initial grip? So a peak of traction followed by less grip, or do you want more overall grip where you don't have such a high peak of traction, but the traction is more consistent and smoother? That's how I would think about it. So low axle, more initial grip, high axle, more overall grip. 89 people. I'm going to have to share this because we were just more. Disappointed. I'm so disappointed. Aye. Get a shareable link. Oh, today we're drinking Saku Original. I could only afford this Estonian beer. It's good. I'm not on social media very actively, so where do I share this? Invisible Speed Facebook. Maybe Lefty, if Lefty is here, can share it somewhere. 91 people. We are almost there. Let's take another question. Easy one. What do you think about zero rebound suspension? I recommend that you always build your shocks with zero rebound. Just the easiest way to go. Emulsion also. Steven, I need therapy. Hi, I'm Steven. I'm a raceaholic. Well, tonight you're going to get some therapy. We're going to be talking about some mental role centers here later. Basement Bauman with a great comment. The invisible speed course is totally worth the money. Amazing. Man, we were so close. We had like 92 people here just now. It's even undervalued and should be more expensive. That's true. I agree. But hey, the value is what people are willing to pay. So if you look at it that way, it's not undervalued. The course helped me understanding the behavior of my cars and what the changes do. Would definitely recommend it. Well, thank you very much. That's the goal of the course, actually. So I'm happy to hear that it's helped. In the IT industry, this course with that level of depth would cost like 3 to 10 grand. This is why it's a shame that I chose this industry. Any other questions? Post in the comments. I'm reading the comments. Oh, we have a super chat. Wait a minute. Why can't I show it? Where is it? Oh, we have two. Mike Driscoll, £4.99. I give up on your hole. So here's to the beer fund. Yeah. So we have this. This is a feature of these YouTube lives. This is the hole in the wall. So we have a hole in the wall fund. When we reach enough donations, we're going to fix that wall. We're going to talk about the reasons for that hole in the wall today. Actually, it's one of the things we'll discuss. And Bauman also with 10 euros. Missed last beer fund as I was on IBC watching rain. Will you go to Euro 40 plus to unfuck my car with some beers? Yes, I will actually be in Germany for the 40 plus euros. And yes, I can check over your car. No problem. 97 people. And I haven't shared this yet. I was supposed to. Wait. Oh my God. It's happening again. Now I'm going to share it. Join us live now. We need 100 people, or I'm not going to start. I'm not going to do the mental role centers. Okay. Posted on Facebook. Hopefully that works. Let's see. Do we have other questions here? We do Q&A until we reach enough people. See you at Silver State. Yes, I'll be there. I've never been to Silver State now that it's in this this current venue. It's actually going to be my birthday too. Yep, 41. New life. We start again at 1. With all this talk about pistons, would it be fair to summarize the correct application to be rough track 5 holes, somewhat rough, somewhat smooth 6 holes, and smooth track 8 holes? Yes, but that's only part of the truth or part of the story, because then you also have to look at the layout, the speed, the traction level. So I would add to that think about if you want the car to be more calm and stable than 5 holes, or more more responsive, stiff feeling, driving flat, supporting the chassis, then you would go to more holes. So like 8 holes, for example. So it kind of also depends on that, not just the bumps or roughness of the track. For 5, I would say like 5 is maybe easy overall grip. 8 is fast initial grip. Well, another way to think about it. Bullshit, stay on topic. I don't know what this is referring to. Because it's like 10 minutes ago. 99 people, we're almost there. Almost there. Let's see. Missed meeting with Ryan. Yeah, so we had an Invisible Speed live meeting with Ryan Lutz just before this, but it will be uploaded to the course material, so don't worry that you missed it. It will be uploaded and you can rewatch it. All the videos, all the live meetings, everything we do, we upload them after the fact to the course material. So if you're in the course, you can watch it when you want to. Get on with your mental crap. Yeah, we have 103 people, so we can actually do this now. Okay, I'm gonna just catch up with the comments, and then we start. Let's see. Did you enjoy the PMB coverage? We were traveling home from the race during the Pro Nitro Buggy race and did not get to see it live. I watched, and it was actually good. I liked the drone shots they had, and overall it was quite good. And they had driver interviews too, which is important, I think. The only thing maybe was that both announcers were kind of doing the same thing, calling the action, where I think it should be like Scotty's just blabbing about the action, and then the other person should like give some insights about stuff. You know, like they should know something about the drivers or the cars or setups or something that as a viewer we don't know, and then that person shares that information. I think that's a sort of better dynamic over both saying the same things, like the cars are going over this jump, like I can see that, tell me something I don't know. So that would be like the constructive criticism of the day. But overall, I would say the coverage was good from what I saw. How long do you think the white black edition spare parts will last? Well, I think that they are actually out at the factory now. I have a bunch here in Finland, but I'm thinking about just trying to, sell them all off. Because it's been, how many years has it been now? A number of years already. And the sales are kind of dying down now. I'm not really selling much of those parts. So if you have a white or black edition, I recommend you buy a bunch of parts now to last you a couple of years. So I'm writing an on-road book now. Possible timeline for when it's ready, I don't know. I don't want to promise anything on that, seriously. So I've been running on-road now in the winter. I've been messaging with Alexander Hagberg about stuff, setup related stuff. I have an automatics, I have an X-ray. I've been running both. And the goal is to sort of build up my full understanding of the setup changes and how it feels to the driver, and then also how current on-road drivers sort of think about the setup changes. And then I will just go through the book and sort of adjust everything for on-road. But I don't have a specific timeline for that right now. I want to do it during this year, but that's as much as I can say, really. Um, Is it possible to balance grip in a long sweeping corner where you want speed versus a tight 180 when you want good rotation? Yes. So this is actually this is one of the things that's hard to do when it comes to setup, because those two scenarios or situations are almost opposites of each other. One, you want the car to be very stable and not change direction, and then the other one, you want it to change direction. So um, I would say that this is where the fundamental design of the car is very important. So where the roll centers are, how they behave, that's very key to making this work, because it is possible to have a car that feels comfortable in high speed sections and also rotates around hairpins. It is possible, but if you have a car where your roll centers are off, then it's almost impossible to achieve that. And that's why when you go to different tracks, you're constantly changing the setup a lot, because you're having to manipulate what the car naturally wants to do with roll bars, droop, camber, springs, pistons, shock oils, diff oils, all of these things, instead of what you should be doing, which is just sort of fine tuning with those things. And yeah, that roll centers, it's key to everything. That's why we're going to talk about the mental roll centers here in a minute, because that's really the backbone of the car. That determines the nature of the car. And then all these other changes, we can make some changes to, okay, add some rotation in hairpins. Okay, add some stability in high speed sections. We can manipulate how the car works in those sections separately, but the nature of the car stays the same. So yeah, it is possible, but it's a challenge. Lapinkulta is the only Finnish beer I know of. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Lapinkulta. Are you a Facebook psychologist? No, I'm not on Facebook anymore. I am now on YouTube, and I am the village therapist. I'm not a psychologist. Here we go. Random comment of the week. Steve Ellington, thank you for all that you do. Amazing. You're welcome. So recently we changed the online course to 3-month length. It was 1 year, 200 euros, and it was too much. Apparently people weren't buying it. I was getting depressed, so we changed it to just 3 months and a lower price of like 49 euros. And so far so good. People have been joining. It seems like it's an improvement, so we will keep it this way and see how it goes. I think my steering servo is too fast. What is too fast for you? Is there too fast? This is something I think Spencer Rivkin spoke about this, where he was slowing down his servos just from the radio and servo speed. So go down to like 95%, 90%, 85%, 80%, and just test it and try for yourself to see if you feel more comfortable at a lower speed. It is possible these days with lipos and the fast servos. The servo is so fast that it makes the car feel nervous and aggressive. So try lowering the speed on your radio. Are you back on Facebook? No, I'm not. Invisible Speed RC, Facebook and Instagram, that's all that there is, but I haven't posted on Instagram in a long time. And Facebook, I do sometimes post, but I don't have them on my phone. I do it on the computer. Matt Harrison, $10. We have dollars, pounds, euros. Cheers to mental roll centers. Yeah, we're going to get to that. Actually, I need to move on. Let's see if there was any other good question here. There we go. I caught up with the comments. Okay, we're all good. What was I supposed to do? Oh, small update. So Invisible Speed book has been out for a while now. All kinds of crazy sheesh in here. And now it's also been translated into French and it's shipped. So the French books have officially left the building and they're on their way to customers. Very happy about that. Spanish book is still being worked on. That's not finished. So yeah, book is out. A Main is selling the book. Beach RC, Lutz RC, they are all selling the book. You can find them in their web shops. 36 Mood is selling the book. What is it? RSRC, Renault Savoya, the man who loves balls. You remember that video I made on YouTube? He is selling the book, English and French. So there you go. I finally just bought the book. Good on you, Matthew. I'm very happy about that. The course has been in this sort of limbo stage. How can I say? Like, there's a bunch of videos that I filmed and I never edited, because for those videos, the filming is one thing and then the editing is a whole other world, and it takes a lot of time because you have to find footage that matches what you want to show and explain, and oh my god. So it takes a lot of time to do those videos, and I got a bit discouraged at a point. I'm like, there are so many other things that I need to do and spend time on, and this just isn't it, you know. So the 3-month thing, hopefully we get people signing up. We have activity in the course, and I have to do those videos. I need to edit those videos. So hopefully this 3-month thing helps, and then I'll get those videos edited. What we have been doing is we have been having the live videos and guests on. Bruno Coelho has been on maybe 4 times altogether. And last year we have had Robert and Thibaut and Ronne Falk and a bunch of people. This year we've had Lutz on a few times already. So live meetings we do. It's just that those last missing videos in the course, not done yet. Low or high CG for more or less roll? What is JQ's thoughts on that? I mean, if you have a higher CG, you have more roll. That's it. End of story. Easy. That's why race cars are built as low as possible. Roll centers, we're going to talk about that in a moment. But now we're going to talk about the Myako buggy a bit. Okay? Let's see. It's on manual focus now. Let's focus. Let's see where we are focused here. Okay, so I'm building a new car currently for myself for Silver State. I haven't raced since AMS, so it's been a while, and I thought that I need the latest and greatest just so I'm motivated to go out there in the 40 plus class. The track's going to be rough. I'm going to run the long chassis and the lightweight long chassis. So all those machinings are done after the hard anodizing. It's an optional part just to reduce weight, basically. Center diff mount, I have titanium screws just for lightweight. I haven't put the brakes on yet. The way I do the mount is I put it on the chassis, then I tighten the screws just to make sure everything's straight and free. Front end, and you know what? I have to say, I haven't built a Myako now for a while, but I just think it's beautiful, really, seriously. The details, you know, it's all about the small laser engravings and the red highlights and all of that. I use titanium screws, so the gearbox screws go all the way through the gearbox. They're kind of heavy, so titanium ones are good. All the silver screws here are titanium. Titanium turnbuckles for lightweight. Plastic plates, which are stock on the arms. The captured hinge pins are stock also. This was something that Ronne Falk suggested back in the day, and it was definitely a good upgrade. Just makes everything more solid, and also It's a lot easier to work on the car, actually, which I didn't think about, but it is actually easier, because to change the arm, you remove the screw type hinge pin. And when you don't want to change an arm on me, you can remove everything else and everything stays together. So it's good. Also, optional carbon plate for the shock tower position spacer. So on the Myako, we can add shims that go between the gearbox and the chassis. The idea is that you see how there's this gap now between the shock tower and the gearbox, and you see how there's a gap here. You can see above the screw. That's because now this is set up to no shim under the gearbox. So if you add a shim under the gearbox, you can move the gearbox up where the arm holders and the shock tower stay in the same place. So you're only moving the gearbox up or down. There are 3 positions for that. And that's to adjust the diff height. And diff height is relevant because a very important thing when it comes to handling is the angle of the drive shaft and how the drive shaft pin moves in the out drive. So when you raise or lower the diff, it changes the position that the drive shaft and arm naturally want to be at. So it affects the suspension on power. And a low diff, that's why I built it low now, because I know that the Silver State track will be very bumpy. And low diff will be good on rough, bumpy tracks because the suspension is softer. Then on sort of, let's say, Redovan worlds, so super smooth, high grip, high speed track, there I would raise the diffs, because then the car will be stiffer, firmer, drive flatter. I can drive more confidently on power. Bumps aren't an issue. Okay. We use center universal. Another thing. We have an insert here now on the C-hub, so we have 3 holes for the length, and we can also use then upper row or flip the insert and lower row. And this is actually something that I decided to make because of touring car. Because on touring car, I noticed how sensitive it was to the link height on the front, and how you could make the car either push on the limit or sort of oversteer on the limit. And that's something that's really helpful also for us in 8-scale off-road, because most of the time I would say we want to run the link high, because we want the car to be sort of forgiving and not catch bumps or anything like that. But then if we are on a loose, smooth track, we want the front end to grab more, we would lower the link to have that increased response and steering. So it was something we've added. And then these are the KPI 1 hubs. So you see how the steering knuckle is angled like that. Even camber is straight, but the kingpin is inclined. A lot like how a pillow ball car is. This is going to give the smoothest initial steering and then be, again, good in bumps. So that's why I have it on here for Silver State. We have another option, which is just a bit of KPI. So this is KPI 1. We have KPI 0.5, which is just a bit. And then we still have stock of KPI 0, which is no KPI at all. So a really good option to have. Then rear end. Let's see. Are the titanium screws an option? Yes, they are. So rear end. I am running the optional C and D plates for 1.5 toe in. The standard is 3 degrees, so I reduce it to 1.5. The carbon rear tower is also optional, but for the e-buggy, it comes as standard. So I'm building my e-buggy into a nitro, actually. Also, carbon plate for the D block. That's an option part. All the silver screws are titanium. Just because it's bling, you know. I would say that, yes, it stiffens this up a bit because this is plastic as standard, but I doubt you notice it on the track. The rear hubs are the sort of normal option part hubs with carbon plates versus the 3-piece hub that we have, which is members only. I want to compare this to the 3-piece hub because the 3-piece hub is a bit heavier. So I'm going to try both. Then another thing that I used here is something. When I was just the mechanic for Pekko, I finally bothered to do it. It's these sway bar links. So they look a bit weird, and that's because that's the wrong size. That's because you can adjust the height of them. So they have a mini turnbuckle in them. You see how there's a gap there now? So you are able to adjust the height of the roll bar link. Why would you want to do that? That's because you can tweak the roll bar left to right so the action is the same. What tends to happen is one side will wear out more to where there's a difference left to right in when the action of the anti-roll bar begins. And if you take the shocks off and you lift one side, you know how the other side will also lift up? Well, you measure the difference. So how much do you lift until the other side starts moving? And you match that left to right. And the way to match it is by changing the length of these. So that's just something that you can do to perfect the setup of your car. And when you have a car that's working really well, it's these small details that when you go over them and really fine tune them, they start making a bigger difference. So the better the car setup, the more these small things matter. Also, I put the carbon plates on the arms because I pretty much always run them. I think they are better. I have a titanium droop screw there, captured hinge pins, they're standard. Also, on the rear, we have a center universal. And what else? Wing position, it's something we play around with quite a bit, actually. Now it's in the lowest position, but we also have more holes up here for a higher wing position. I wasn't sure where to start. I just start with it low. I have universals on now, the standard ones. Most of the time I run 94s, but I'm going to start with these and then go from there. Okay. More touring car influence. Yes, kind of. Yeah, I guess so. But maybe. I can't remember when I designed those. A long time ago. But yes, in touring car, that stuff really matters. The scrub offset adjustable in the rear of the Myako. Yes. I did not mention that. But you see here how there's an insert in the arm. So you have long, middle, or short. These hubs don't have that adjustment, but the 3-piece hubs do. So then you can, when you shorten the arm, you add offset. So the more you do that, the more initial grip you have. So if we think about a corner, going into the corner, you have good grip. Mid corner, you lose grip. When you get on power, you have grip again. So it's more of a sort of peak of traction, then you lose it. Where long arm, less offset, more overall grip. But it is adjustable on the Myako. Will you be running the new aluminium throttle servo mount? What new aluminium throttle servo mount? I don't know. I broke a servo horn on the 24E buggy. Car is so tough, though. Car is so tough. I can't read. Okay, caught up with the comments. that's what's going on in the Myako world. So I'll be at Silver State. I don't know how many of us are going, but I think Robert wants to go now also. So Robert might be there. It's going to be me and Degani in the 40 plus class, Robert in pro, Jay Smoker in sportsman, I guess, forever sportsman. And that e-buggy that I have, I will actually build as a standard stock out of the box car. So that will be a sort of good way to test all the options on the Nitro e-buggy, fully stock, standard, everything. So we're gonna do a bit of a comparison and figure out the setup for a challenging, bumpy Silver State track. Any plans for outboard tow on the hubs? Yes, we have that. We've always had that. So the hubs have a plastic insert in them, 0, or then 0.5 degree or 1 degree of tow. I just purchased the Invisible Speed 2 book. Thank you for finally giving me a resource that I can go to and trust. Dylan, thanks. Why is he named Jay Smoker? I don't know. I think he named himself that. He, let's say he's been in the weed industry, you know, so that's why he's called that. You know, the funny thing, I like 10 years ago, maybe, oh, more than that now, almost 15 years ago, I don't know, 12, 13 years ago, when I started going to America first, I would spend a few months over the winter there. I actually lived with Jay. And I think everyone sort of started to think or assume that I smoked weed and sort of I was a part of that. But I had never even tasted. Like I never tried weed, never tried a cigarette, nothing. Like it was so funny because I was so different from everyone there. You know? Yeah. It was a good time. It was a good time. Probably had some effects of like secondhand smoke, though. Okay, caught up with the comments. I think I need to start talking about mental role centers. I think I need to do that. But you know what I also have to do? I also have to go to the toilet because I just drank a beer and I need to go pee. So what are we going to do here? I actually prepared some material so I can explain this. I can do this justice. I would need like a pause screen. I don't think I have one. Anyway, give me like 30 seconds and then I will come back and explain to you about mental role centers. We can really get into this. Okay, see you in a minute. Okay, back. That was probably more than a minute. Pee break. Oops, turned into number 2. 10 minutes later. Ah, that's normal. Okay, let's get to the actual point of today. Mental role centers. Wow, a lot of people here still. That's crazy. I need to share my screen here. How do I do that? There we go. Okay. Oh, we have this nice leaf background now. That's fine. Do you see this picture? Hopefully you see a picture. I'm not gonna do this and then you don't even see what I'm talking about. Someone comment. Yes. Okay. So you may remember last year, a year ago, pretty much a year ago, I released this video, which was like a retirement video. And then it was literally a retirement video. And I'm sure people talk shit like, retirement from what? Like, who does he think he is? And the thing is that this video served a very selfish but important purpose. It was like a line in the sand. How do you say? Like a deadline for myself, in a sense. Because one thing that I know about myself is that if I put something out there, if I say something, if I say I'll do something, then I have to do it. Because when I don't, discomfort and anxiety builds. Okay. So by me publicly making this video and explaining the things I did in that video, I knew it was a way to force myself to finally do something about it. Okay. And what is it? What did I need to do something about? It was basically the fact that I knew that something was wrong. I knew that the way that I was going about my life wasn't exactly the best way. And I would compare it to setting up a car, because that's what I know. And I know that the role centers are key to how a car handles, because when you understand the role centers, you can predict how the car will handle in any given situation. And when you understand the role centers, then not only can you predict how the car will handle, you can also not just guess what setup change to make, you understand what setup change to make to improve the handling for any given situation. It's still difficult, it's still hard, but at least you have a manual for it. You understand what the car is doing, and you know the direction to go to improve it. Okay? So what I knew was that I needed to figure out an instruction manual for myself, for my own mind. So I needed to find the role centers in my brain. And that's what this video was really about. Because the fact that I was so focused on racing and JQ racing first, and then Myako and invisible speed and all these things just working constantly, that was really sort of a way to avoid these problems that I knew I had, right? I was just putting it off. And then this video was a way for me to force myself to not put it off anymore. Capiche? So, one thing that I discovered was that I actually have ADHD. Now, I thought that that is the last thing. Like, I did not think that ADHD was an option when I started down this path. But that's really because I think ADHD has a really bad branding. I found this, and it kind of explains it quite well. So the executive system lives in the brain's frontal lobe, and it's responsible for putting into action the knowledge that lives in the back of the brain. But ADHD separates these two parts of the brain like a meat cleaver. In ADHD brains, intention and action are disconnected. This is a much better description because most people, when they think about ADHD, just like I did, I just thought, oh, it's like fidgeting, being hyperactive, scatterbrained. And when I thought about myself, it's like, I'm not really like that. Like, there's no way that's my problem. But then the thing is that the thing that people don't know about ADHD is all these other things that it causes. So impulsivity, depression, forgetfulness, strong emotions, difficulty with self-care, poor working memory, difficulty with conversation, sleeping issues, rejection sensitivity, anxiety, hyperfixations, analysis paralysis, mood swings, difficulty switching tasks, auditory processing issues, executive dysfunction. And if I look at this and I read this, it's like all of these things here, I could say that I have. So then it starts making sense. So then we remember. Understanding these things is like finding your role center. It's the fundamental principle of how a car handles, how it works. You find the role center. And we remember, when you have ADHD, you have performance in the frontal lobe and knowledge in the rest of the brain. So you know things, but you can't do them. Communication issues between the brain. For role centers, we have two. We have a front role center. We have a rear role center. We need to understand that these are connected. They are connected by a chassis. They work together. They need to work together. When we understand where the role centers are and we adjust the car to our liking, we can determine how it corners. Does it lift up in a corner? Does it stay flat? Does it roll down? Does it do this when you exit the corner? All of these things are determined by the role centers. You can compensate with many different things. You can compensate with the anti-roll bars or the springs or the shock oil, diff oil, tire choice, shock positions. You can compensate with all kinds of different things, but the underlying nature of the car is determined by the roll centers. And if you go to a different track, which is higher grip and higher speed, for example, then you will again run into problems if you don't know where your roll centers are. And then you are compensating again. So it really is key to figure out your roll centers, know where you want to have them, how you want the car to drive. And then for the different conditions, what you're doing is you're just fine tuning. So why though? Like, why does this affect the car so much, and why do you need to know this? Well, that's because of load transfer. So load transfer is another aspect of car handling, but it's a very basic one, because the car is connected to the track with the tires. And up to a point, the more load you have on tires, the more grip you will have. We have a front axle, and rear axle. And when we are driving around corners, we need to match the amount of traction front to back in a way where the car drives in a comfortable way around the track, so that we don't have oversteer where the car is very nervous, for example, going into a corner or mid-corner, the car turns a lot and the rear slides out. Maybe that's uncomfortable for us, or maybe we want that so that we can drive really fast around corners. It depends on driver preference. So we need to also understand load transfer of the car. In a corner, what is the front end doing? What is the rear end doing? How is load transferring? So for my brain, I understood that, okay, this ADHD, this is one thing, but it doesn't really explain everything, because I can tell already that there's something else going on also. So digging a bit deeper, then we discover this. ASD, formerly known as Asperger's syndrome. Now it's just autism spectrum disorder. The top 3 symptoms of Asperger's is obsessing over a single interest. Now, I can't imagine that I have that, right? The last 25 years, RC racing, JQ products, JQ racing, Myako, invisible speed, RCGP, non MRC podcast, all these things, right? Obsessing over a single interest. I think I've written 2 fucking books already on this single interest. Craving repetition and routine, and not responding well to change. Definitely, if you know me, you know that that's true. I mean, even Pekko, when we go on some kind of trips, he just goes to the shop and buys. He knows what to buy, because I always buy the same stuff. Missing social cues in play and conversation. And that's really because this is sort of this is a thing that affects the social aspects of life. I would say that I'm really good at stuff that it involves things, products, branding, this kind of stuff I can do. But anything social with people, it's always been a struggle. But for me, I have ADHD as a diagnosis. Like, that is it. You have that shit, okay? ASD, high traits, but not diagnosed. And I actually would agree with that. The thing is that I am able to be social. I am able to interact with people fine. Like, it's okay. I can do it. And because of that, it's not something that is impossible for me. It's just a challenge. Let's put it that way. Something that the combination of these 2 things has caused is the next thing we need to consider with brain setup and car setup. And that's initial versus overall grip. So if we go back here and we look, one thing on this ADHD iceberg is impulsivity. Impulsivity is initial grip. Strong emotions is initial grip. So you go through life with things affecting you strongly and fast. And also, I would say that the thoughts you have, the actions you take are often impulsive, a lot of initial grip, right? This is a bit of a problem. I think, especially socially, if you mix it with a bit of ASD. So you have a high peak of traction. you are very responsive, impulsive, but it, grip goes up quick, high peak, goes down quick. This is where you are. This is where you are trying to balance your life. It's a lot easier to take a smoother approach, to have more overall grip, where the grip builds up more gradually. It doesn't go quite as high, but you see the maximum potential of the traction. It's wider here. You have a wider peak to work with. So life will be a lot smoother for you. This is something really important to understand when it comes to setting up your car or understanding your own brain. Because as you are cornering, if things happen very quickly, if one end of the car gains traction very quickly or loses traction very quickly, the car becomes unpredictable. So you have to have a very good balance front to rear to be able to drive a car like that. So a car that has a lot of initial grip, high grip potential, but it's like it's on a knife edge. You can be very fast, but it takes a lot of effort and skill to maintain this level of grip. It's easier and you're more consistent if you have some kind of magic, like here, a magic tire that has a lot of grip but a wide peak, or maybe the more normal situation. So not nearly as high grip, but a wider peak. This is easier. When you understand these things, then you have a number of different things that you can adjust to manipulate that. And that's where the online course and the book come in handy, because people always want some kind of like magic advice for car setup, and they don't want to believe or want to accept that it's complicated, and it's understanding a bigger picture. And then once you understand that, learning to make the right adjustments at the right time to have a well-handling car. And it's very often about manipulating initial grip versus overall grip. Am I making sense, people? So the reason for that retirement video last year was that I knew that my roll centers were a bit off. I knew that because of the difference between what I want and what happens in my life. I knew that the difference between what I want and where I want to be and what keeps happening and where I am is drastic. Okay? Cheers. And the only way to fix that is to understand why that keeps happening. And the hard part was to actually, do it, to put in the work to figure all of this out. That's why I made that video. Because another thing, and ironically, one trait of ASD is that you are very you need structure, you need to understand, and you need to be authentic. So like I mentioned, if you say that you're going to do something, if you publicly say you're going to do something, you're going to do it. You tell the truth. You don't lie. What if you lie? If you say things and you don't do them, all these things, like, they build frustration, anger, anxiety. It's not a comfortable feeling. And I knew that about myself. That's why I made that video, because I knew it would force me to do this. So I made that video. And then over the last year, I've been working on getting a diagnosis, learning about all this stuff as if it was a car, as if it was car setup. And I think that it's been really helpful. I think it's been really hard, and that's why I've not been doing lives. I've not been doing YouTube videos. I've not been very active on with Myako things, because it takes. I think that really it takes time to accept a different view of your entire life. Like when you learn to understand how you think and how you act and how that is different to many other people, then you can look back on events and look back on your life choices and look back on everything that's happened, and it begins to um, make sense in a different way. So I think it takes some time to sort of accept that and to understand it, and then most importantly, I think, to know what setup changes to make so that your mental setup will be better for the future. So that's really what I've been doing, and that required me to take a bit of a step back from RC, because you see, RC was the thing that was keeping me from doing this. Just catching up with the comments. Yes, it's possible for a person with ASD to interact smooth with other people, but let's say in a moment of low mental energy, it gets much harder, as everything needs to be interpreted, body language, irony, etc. ADD and ADHD is powerful. Yeah, recently, so one thing is that there's medication for ADHD. And I've tried a couple now, and the first one, that wasn't really good at all. I mean, it made you feel so like artificial in a sense. So like it felt like you were on some kind of medication. Like mentally, you were sort of very calm, but then physically, the body felt anxious, active. Then I tried a different one, which is like it is a fucking game changer. Seriously, it's like having the wrong tires, and then someone just gives you, hey, run these instead, and you put those tires on, and you just have grip and steering and stability all in one, and it feels like cheating. That's how this felt. It's absolutely uh, incredible, because it's not, it doesn't feel fake at all. It's like you take the medication and the day is like you at your best. So it's a perfectly natural, normal feeling, but it's the feeling you have when you are your happiest. Sort of, you just won a big race, and then the next day everything's going your way and you're all good and positive, right? That feeling, it's that feeling, but just on your normal average day. It's hard to explain. Uh, so it's a normal feeling that I normally also have, but it's very rare for me. Okay. Uh, very often I would say that mentally I feel like there's a sort of cloud or fog in my head, like, and it is a cloud of negativity in a sense, but it's not, you can't pinpoint what the negativity is. It just is that kind of feeling. Okay. And it causes you, or me, it causes me to lack motivation, and it causes me to be a bit negative. And whatever negative things have happened, so it could be in the past from races, like something bad happened in a race, I had a flame out, or servo broke, or someone took me out, or I crashed right at the end of the race, or it could be in personal life, something with a girlfriend or ex-girlfriend or whatever, something like that, those kind of negative thoughts would creep in, and they would just be there. And it would sort of be hard to break out of that and think positively and see like, well, you know what, we have all these things going for us and I need to do this and this and that, and then just do them and be done with it. So this feeling just made it not possible to get those things done. And then when you realize that I have all these things to do and I haven't done them, that increases that negative feeling. And then something that I have realized now is that when you grow up with this, when you live your life with this, you internalize the fact that you have these goals and things that you want to achieve and you want to do, and then you constantly don't achieve them, so you always fail. And I think this, along with the fact that you constantly sort of misunderstand other people, that other people are misunderstanding you, and most importantly, you are misunderstanding and not understanding yourself, like what you're feeling, why you're feeling, and what's going on. It all builds up to this sort of lack of self-confidence, self-worth, love for yourself, in a sense. That is really like the problem with something like ADHD. So originally you just think like, oh, it's just you're fidgety or you can't focus, but there's all these other things added to it, especially if you have ADHD and ASD. And that's why RC racing, invisible speed, Myako, JQ racing, all of this, singular focus on that, pretty good at that. That's like a safe place to be. I know what I'm talking about. I can do that shit. That's okay. Everything else, a mess. And I think most people actually never get to the point where they figure out what the issue truly is. Most people, they never bother to figure out where the roll centers on their cars are. They just have different coping mechanisms. So they take drugs, they drink alcohol, they gamble, they do whatever they do, but it's a coping strategy because they don't know where their role centers are. They don't know what they actually should adjust so that everything goes well. So in my case, I decided I wanted to figure it out, and that's what I've been doing. And like I was saying, that medication, that also proved that, okay, you know what, maybe there is something going on, because like I explained about the fog, you take that medication, it goes away. And it brings a sort of sense of positivity, clarity, ability to just sort of look at all the things that need to be done and just start doing them. And it's fucking life-changing, seriously. I probably wouldn't be doing this right now if I didn't have that. Thank you for sharing that. I joined the club a few months back. Only took 41 years and an injury to discover these problems in my car. Exactly. Living in Finland with long winters, how common is it to supplement vitamin D? Those levels being in line can make a major difference in mood, sleep, brain fog, etc. Changed my life. Yes, I think a lot of people in Finland take vitamins, especially in the winter. I think that's kind of normal. My cheat code is exercise and sauna. If I don't, I'm a puddle and I experience a lot of what you're talking about. If I do, I'm clear and level all the way across the board with tons of confidence. Yeah, I would say that that also makes a difference, but let's say it helps, but that's like changing your roll bars, your droop, your piston, your shock oils, your springs, but your roll centers are still messed up. If your roll centers are fine, then exercise and sauna, that's all you need. That's good. But if your roll centers are messed up, you need to understand how and you need to adjust them. That's how I would describe that. It helps, but it's not a solution. RC cars were the first thing in my life where I could focus on one thing for 45 minutes. Says Robin from Switzerland. What med is it? Wait, I can't remember. It's called Elevance. Elevance. I don't know how to pronounce it. Or Vivance. Elevance. It's called here. The first one was Concerta, and it sucked. That was not good for me. But this Elevance was really good. Love that reference to roll centers. Makes total sense. Happy for you that you are on your way to figuring it out. I can't imagine how difficult it is to bring out this personal of an issue and discuss it with your RC family. I don't know. I'm doing it because I think that it, like I said, it sort of forces me to deal with it. The problem really, like for RC or for working in RC, it's not a problem. It's a problem for everything else, personal life. Like I'm 41 years old, I'm single, I don't have a family, don't have much of a relationship with my own family, like my sisters or my parents. It's all because of this, you know. I've had 5 relationships, I think. 5. Yes, I've had 5 relationships in my life. I've broken up every single time. Yes, I tend to sort of end up with women who also have, you know, issues of their own, but I have also had perfectly intelligent, stable, and understanding partners. I still break up because of this, you know, because a relationship is something that's very difficult. You are very difficult for anyone, I think, but very difficult for me because you are trusting and relying on someone else who you do not, how can you say, you do not control. You can't control what will happen. You do not know. There is a level of uncertainty that has to be there, and you have to be somehow okay with that. And that's something that now, thanks to all of this, I can work on being okay with. How many hours you think about the relation to car setup? It's a good analogy. I mean, not that long, to be honest. I just had the idea with a friend of mine and decided I have to do it. And then today I forced myself to do it by announcing that I was going to do it. Just recently diagnosed with ADHD myself. Similar to your story, the medication has been life-changing. I can tackle things now without the internal push-pull of my brain working against me. I think that's also one reason for like a hyperfixation on one thing, because it interests you so much that you can do that. And then also it acts like a distraction, so then you just focus on that, you do that thing. I don't agree with your paradigm. This drug you're on is not a cure. I would say that I don't. Where I am right now, I would not think that you need to take some drug daily to be able to function or to sort of be okay. I don't think that's the right way. I could be wrong. I haven't researched it enough. But I think what it is good for is to understand different states of mind and different ways of being in the world and interacting and the effect of that. So I think that it is good for that, at least. And like I said, it's a feeling that is completely normal and natural for a good day. But it's with that, it's like every day is a good day. But I think that understanding these things and accepting them and making adjustments to your life, you can achieve that without medication also. Especially, I think, for me, because I would say that for both of these things, I'm kind of on the limit. It's a spectrum. It's not like you have this, then you are there. No, it's a spectrum. Some people have a bit of it, some people a lot. I would say that I'm sort of on the lower level of both of those things. So I think understanding it and then making adjustments for yourself, that's really the solution, I think. Apparently, it seems that some form of ADD, ADHD is quite normal among us nerds in RC. Yeah, probably. A drug just masks the problem and the problem is allowed to fester. Well, the thing is that ADHD is an actual thing, that it's like a neurological disorder. Your brain is not functioning uh, in the way that it should, right? So it's not something like it's a problem that's allowed to fester. There's no cure for it. You just are that way, you know? And the drug allows your brain to do something that if you didn't have ADHD, then it would normally do. So that's why I'm not sure about this yet. Like, is it something where um, you are better off just taking medication throughout your life, or when you understand and adjust your life, that will be better than medication? Do you think understanding your mental role center better due to RC will give you an opportunity to maybe focus on other aspects of life? Um, I'm sure of it, because just like in RC, so when I understand the role center of an RC car, I can set a car up without driving it. I can set a car up without touching it. If I know the geometry of the car and the track you're driving on, I can give you a setup. You can put it on your car and it will work. And it will work in the way you want it to work, because I understand that. And I think when you understand the role centers of your mind, what you understand is the things that are healthy for you, the things that you can do to make sure that you can perform at your best. So you can feel good, you can be productive, you can be social, you can be happy, you can have a successful relationship with someone, you can have hobbies, all these things. Like, when you understand yourself, and when you know yourself, then you can apply that knowledge and create the life that you want. When you don't know those things, it's like you're shooting in the dark at a moving target. You know, you might get lucky, but probably you won't. And in the long run, you definitely won't. So it's important to know. Like, it's important to know what you need for yourself. Like, sometimes you need time alone. You need time to recharge. What are the hobbies or activities that you need to do on a weekly basis to feel good? Those kind of things. In a relationship, what things that maybe aren't communicated normally, what do you need communicated? What are the questions you need to ask your partner? What are the things that your partner needs to know to address with you for everything to go smoothly? You know, those kind of things. Like, it's really not rocket science, but when you don't know, it seems like it is. There are no solutions, only trade-offs. I don't know. I think there are always solutions, but you have to know the problem first. That's step one. I was hesitant to begin taking medication for ADHD, but it's helped in a very meaningful way. I paired it with environmental changes too, so that I'm not unnecessarily distracted. You can balance your brain through mindset, being grateful for the air you breathe. Well, I don't agree with that. You can like this comment. Ungrateful people seem to suffer from this nonsense. Yeah, these comments are like telling a depressed person to cheer up. It's like Robin Williams was depressed, and he had basically everything going for him. He was multimillionaire, he was famous, um, comedian, actor, well liked, probably had a lot of people in his life who loved him. He committed suicide. Okay, had every opportunity to do whatever the hell he wanted in his life with his life, uh, all the money in the world and fame. Still, he committed suicide. He was depressed. Same with singer of Linkin Park or Avicii. There are all these examples of people who have the money to just retire and do whatever the hell they want. Basically, they don't have to work a single day in their life. They can build their life exactly how they want, but then they can't. It's not because they are ungrateful or because they have the wrong mindset. Like, they could just wake up and change their opinion, or they could just wake up and cheer up. No, they have a neurological disorder, brain. Something is wrong in their brain. The role centers are out of whack. They are depressed. You cannot just choose to cheer up if you're depressed. It doesn't work that way. If you have ADHD, you can't just choose to not have it. It doesn't work that way. So that's how I read these comments. My son has ADHD. After hearing you explain it, I think I may understand him a bit more. Thanks for letting us in your journey. Well, that's good. One person understands their son more. There is nothing wrong with you. Why can be just the way you are? Okay. I'll try to explain. The reason that I knew that there was something wrong with my role centers, with my mental role centers, was that there was a big difference between what I wanted and where I was. Okay. And I also knew that I am not a complete fucking idiot. Okay. Relatively intelligent, like I can apply myself, I can study, I can understand, I can learn, I can do. So I'm not stupid, but I want to be here and I'm over there. What the fuck? And whatever I try, I always end up over there. So I don't get to where I want to be. And what am I saying? Where do I want to be? I think, like everyone, we want to be in a relationship. For me, I'm not gay. So I would like to be in a relationship with a woman. I'd like to have a family, but I cannot fucking do it. Okay. I always either early on, I would say I would always think that I'm just unlucky. Then I realized I'm not unlucky. I have a faulty selection process of women, which lowers my chances of success, as well as I have some issues that, regardless of who my partner is, I will have those problems in the relationship. Okay? Because of me. There's something going on where I cannot create a healthy dynamic in a relationship. Okay. I look at my professional life. I started my own company. I work alone. I don't have anyone in the office. I don't have any employees in Finland. Any employees are in different countries. Okay. I any issues that I have ever had with growing my company or expanding what I am doing do not have to do with my ability to understand or execute or produce or brand or anything like that. They are purely social. They have to do with relationships. They have to do with relationships with employees, with partners, with vendors, with dealers, distributors, customers. The social aspect of life, relationships, is what has been holding me back from further success. The only reason I have been successful is because working has been a way for me to avoid the struggles I have had with everyday life, normal everyday life, relationship life, and everything else. You know, being with myself. Working has been a way to avoid that. So I have worked a lot. I have worked a lot. I have worked very hard. And that's why I have reached this level of success. And that has nothing to do with my fucking mindset or because I'm ungrateful or whatever else Shane said. It is because fundamentally my mental role centers function in this way. And if I never looked into it more, I would go through my life like this. But I decided, you know what? I am going to figure this out. I'm going to find out where my role centers are. Then I will figure out my load transfer and adjust my initial versus overall grip so that when I go through the corners of life, I will handle predictably. And I will be able to drive around those corners. Okay? So it's not like there's nothing wrong with you. Why can be just the way you are? I am just the way I am. Okay? That's not going to change. What's going to change is that I will understand how I am. Right? And when I understand how I am, I can interact with other people in a way where they also understand who I am. And then we can drive around those corners together. That's the key. Okay? Do you understand now? I'd like Shane to understand that every human being is different, just like every buggy is different. You can introduce the same thing to different buggies, but they may react differently. That's an awesome point, Dylan. So this is something that I have noticed. Actually, this was part of my sort of self discovery, let's say, early on, because I never really considered this when it came to the mental role centers. I never considered the fact that me and someone else could have that exact same experience, but we could experience it very differently. And that's how cars work too. So you can have two cars go from one track to another, and they will handle in very different ways because of their role centers. Same with people. So what I started to do is I started to annoy my friends when we had particular experiences, and I would ask them what they were thinking, what they felt, what they thought afterwards, what they were feeling afterwards. And of course, this took a long time because I couldn't know beforehand. I could just sort of remember afterwards and then be like, oh, yeah. And then I would ask. And I realized that there are very big differences to how people feel and think about different experiences. So this is something that I think a lot of people miss because we live so much of our lives in our own mind, and that's the only thing we really know. So then we just assume that everyone thinks and feels this way when that's really not the case. People that have never gone through difficulties will never understand until they themselves fall into sickness. I thought this channel was about RC. It is. We've been talking about role centers the whole night. Mental health correlates with racing. It does. Is this about getting a woman, for fuck's sake? No, Shane. It's not about getting a woman. It's about maximizing your potential as a human being throughout your life. So if you want to relate this to women, I would say it's more about keeping a woman and keeping and building and creating a good relationship. That's what it's about. This is such an easy fix. Shane comes across as the kind of person who, let me show you something. I think this is very relevant to Shane Reed here. This is such an easy fix. I had a conversation with someone about roll bars on my roll bar YouTube video. It's amazing. And that person was very much like this. Let me find a picture here. Where is it? I know I saw it just recently. Oh, God. Here we go. I'll share it. Oops, not that one. This is such an easy fix, says Shane. The reason he says that is this. Shane right now, on the confidence versus competence graph, is somewhere around here. So from no confidence and no competence, he has risen to I'm so great. He has peaked. Eventually, if Shane studies his mental role centers more and also relates his own mental role centers to other people in his life, and he learns to understand their role centers, then he will progress on this graph of life. This is the Dunning-Kruger effect. He will actually go from I'm so great to despair, I know nothing, because he realized he was overconfident here. And as his competence grew, he realized how much he doesn't know and doesn't understand. So over here, this is such an easy fix. As he progresses, he realizes, I was wrong. Oh my God, I know nothing. And then eventually he will rise again to, I'm pretty good, but I know my limitations. And when you are here in life, you're basically winning. And when you are here, you don't make comments like, this is such an easy fix, because you know better. That's right. That's where Shane is. This is not for that, but well said. It was the next comment. It can be a superpower in some ways and hurt you in others. You can solve problems that no one else can even see, but it comes with all the social struggles. Yeah, I would say so too. Like RCGP and the whole idea and structure and all of that, it was so easy and simple for me. Like, this is what we need to do. This is how we need to do it. But to create that, it's like you need to be a whole different person to be able to influence and convince people that it is the right way forward. Like, I can do the nuts and bolts, but when it comes to the emotional intelligence and people and all that shit, yeah, can't do that. This also, this is so wrong. The only reason you don't have a partner is because you haven't found the right one. This is wrong, because I think I would say that I've had at least 2 partners that could have easily been the right partner. So this is just wrong. That's not how it works. So problem is interacting with others, some other people, because there are some that understand you and have good interaction with you. Yeah, I think that it's something you can't really place or explain in words. Like, sometimes you just get along with some people well, but I don't know what that is. It happens, yes. But when you look at the big picture, sort of overall, what I described about personal life and business life and all that, it's the social aspect that is always a problem. So, yeah. It takes a lot to recognize and accept internal issues like this. It takes even more to commit to change. Genuinely impressed. Well, thank you, Steve O'Brien. It does. It's been a while. The other side is maybe you would not be where you are now on the positive side. Success is a path and not a finish line, and there will never be an ending. Yeah, of course, because I think that this sort of combination has given me the ability to do what I did, which I think, yeah, it's a good thing. I mean, I was able to turn a hobby into a career and still going strong. I can structure my days in the way that I want. I don't need to have an alarm clock. I don't need to work 9 to 5 or 8 to 4 or whatever. I can work sort of when I want, how I want, all of that. I did that. So there's a lot of positives, definitely. But like I said, just like with car setup, if you don't understand the basics, then you don't know what changes to make. It's guessing. But when you understand the basics, then you can predict really well what changes you need to make that will have the desired effect. That's what the Invisible Speed book is about. That's what the online course and the live meetings are all about. I follow you in social media. And what I don't know what that means. Well, me personally, I don't have any social media anymore, but Invisible Speed has Instagram and Facebook. Yes. Okay. So hopefully all that made sense. There's still a bunch of people here. That's crazy. Do you have any questions about any of this or any comments? I'm just like JQ, 100%. I really get him and enjoy his content so much. I like his sense of humor the best because it's just like mine. There we go. Are the meds something you have to take for the rest of your life? No. I mean, you can choose if you want. I've been gone 41 years without them. So, I mean, I can do it without them. But it's just a sort of good test, at least, to see that what is possible. Let's put it that way. Yes. I think that was all I had, really. So anyway, now that this has all been figured out and sort of somewhat accepted, the idea is to get back more actively in Myako and Invisible Speed and doing these YouTube lives, and to continue on where we sort of left off. That's kind of what I said also in the end of that retirement video, that was the plan, sort of work on the course, finish the course. So it's really good. The book, well, already updated that. Work on the Mayako. We have the non-member versions, so the normal versions of e-buggy and nitro buggy. Gonna release a nitro and electric truck also. Then we have the member versions of those, and we have a bunch of parts which will be sort of member only, the next cycle of development for the buggy. So we'll be doing that. Online course, a bunch of videos to finish there, and also some new ones to do. So I really want to do a gyro test. We'll be doing a test where we compare lap times and 5-minute runs with a gyro and without, for myself and for some other drivers too, and also whatever professional drivers we can sort of agree to do that, to really finally answer the question if a gyro can help or not. Also, I want to do a video about tires, comparing the different tire brands and compounds, like select similar tread patterns and then do a video about that. So there are a few videos like that I want to do, and then also YouTube videos that are informative and helpful, relatively short, not like the Adam Drake how to put a body clip on videos. So a bit more information than that, but not sort of the course material for free, if you see what I mean. So short videos, which are helpful in themselves, but then if you are really interested, if you want to truly understand and not just memorize, then you would get the book or the course. So that's kind of what I'm planning to attack when it comes to the professional side. But one difference, a big difference to before, is that now during this downtime, what I've also done is I have really focused on the guitar, playing the guitar, because I want to learn to play the guitar to a level that makes me happy. Okay. So I want to be able to do that. So I've been practicing the guitar and also motocross. I'm 40, so I can race the veteran class in motocross. So actually, this year I will enter my first official motocross race. So that's another thing I've been doing, riding motocross. And those two things are things that I will definitely put more of a focus on, and I won't allow myself to distract myself just with work anymore. Yeah. I was on meds for years and stopped. They killed my creativity, and I was like a walking zombie. Yeah, that means it was the wrong medication for you, my friend. Yes. Glad to see you changed your title away from Village Idiot, because you are far away from this. Thank you for sharing your private journey. It's very important to fight against the stigma of this. Yeah, it's one of the first videos when I started to talk about this. It was basically about that. Like, there is a stigma about talking about mental health. Like, people don't really want to talk about it, but I think a lot of people should, to be honest. There we go. Victory. I really appreciate your honesty in this stream. I'm 46 and have been dealing with the same things my whole life. Thanks. I'm motivated to do something about it now. Good. I hope you do. Don't lose that motivation now. 1 minute later, nah, not motivated anymore. That's the problem. Learn Green Day Burnout on guitar. Super fun. Actually, I haven't played Burnout. Like, my favorite song right now is Geek Stink Breath. That's really good. It's really fun to play. Quite simple, but fun. And still to play it really clean and good, yeah, it's challenging enough, I would say. And I also like, well, obviously, Basket Case is like the ultimate goal, to really be able to play that good. I also like Green Day's She and 86. Those are really fun to play. Simple songs, but you know, the live versions especially really fun. Did you get a Pro Moto MX? It's fun. No, I didn't. Maybe when it first came out, I was like, man, I have to get that. But then I never got one. So I don't know if I will or not. But yeah, I've heard it's fun. Meds with the wrong ingredients would be like mixing the wrong colors to get the right colored paint. Exactly. Yeah. There are a number of medications out there, and if it's the wrong one for you, then it's not going to work. It is going to make things worse. Okay, I think that's it. Man, it's been over 2 hours and we still have over 100 people here. I think, has Neo gone to bed? He could ask the last question. Neo's good at the last question. Has he left? Maybe he's left. Let's see. Silence. Show your personal nitro buggy. I just did at the beginning of this. My personal nitro buggy is right here. Where's the focus? You see? I just have a front clip and rear clip. Work in progress. I'm going to the Philippine Masters next week, but I'm not racing. So my goal is to help Ryan Lutz because he's invisible speed driver now. So I'm going to help Ryan Lutz with setup, and hopefully he can slay Davide Ongaro again like he did at DXR. And then, of course, support all the Myako drivers there. We're a bunch of Myako drivers, and I'm going to be helping them. So I'm not racing. But then the week after that, then I go to America for Silver State. And that's what this car is for. So I'm building a car so I can enter 40 plus nitro buggy and electric buggy at Silver State. Are you going to any Italian races? I missed Bitti. Yes, the Bitti contest was the best race. It was so much fun. Track was good. Atmosphere was really good and fun. A lot of track time. I do miss that race too. I think the closest kind of vibe to that in Italy is the whatever race they have. I think my graphics actually has the Italian race. I think it's called, and the Reds GP. The Reds GP I've been to in Gussago. So that one is like the replacement for Bitti design. But yeah, nothing beats the Bitti race. No, there's not going to be a Mayako engine. Just cars. John Miller's going to be watching me on Silver State on Live RC. Well, yeah, it's going to be probably a bit of a slow start, but hopefully I'll catch up by the mains. Haven't been racing. So looks like Neo isn't here. We need a last question and then we are out. Neo is out. Okay. We need a last question, okay? About anything that we've discussed today, and then I have to go. Okay, I am going to select whatever the best last question is we can get. So it needs to be a good one. Okay. Nothing. Let's see what's happening here. What is happening? Now, no engine questions. Not going to answer an engine question now. Come on, think of something good. Don't have all night. We have some questions coming, but none of them are good enough for being the last question. So we're just going to wait. I can do some other stuff here while I wait for a good question. The last question, it needs to be good. Come on. There's so many people here, and we don't have a good question to answer to end this stream. God. Still waiting. Still waiting. I wonder how long we have to stay here. Hopefully not long. Past midnight here. It's late. It is late. Come on, people. Be creative. Think of a good question now. I had some crazy guy on my YouTube commenting on the "You are wrong about anti-roll bars" video. It's a really insane discussion we had. He was claiming that roll bars reduce load transfer when the truth is they do the opposite, and everyone fucking agrees they do the opposite. It's like claiming that when you build a submarine, for example, you're building a submarine and someone is claiming that as you go deeper below the surface of the water, that pressure decreases, when the opposite is true. Like, you go, the deeper you go into the water, the higher the pressure. Okay, so this guy is claiming the opposite to that, and he's so sure of himself and all the explanations he gives. So I was thinking that could be another video to do, to actually have a car, no roll bar, do an experiment where you roll the car, then put an anti-roll bar on, roll the car again, and you have the tires on scales and you see how load is transferred, and why not? Okay, we found a good one. Does beer set your mental roll center higher or lower? I like this question. Beer, alcohol in general, okay? Alcohol is a social lubricant. I would say that alcohol affects different people differently. Let me think about this now. It's a social lubricant, which means that social situations become easier. I'm trying to think if, you see, normally I would say that alcohol increases initial grip because it increases impulsivity. But I'm trying to decide if that's the case. If that's the case for me, sort of at least mentally, mental role center. I would say that alcohol, having just the right amount of alcohol to where you get slightly tipsy, it's like lowering your role centers for me. It makes me more in the track. It makes me have a safer feeling where I'm not gonna flip over or fly off the track. So I can drive more safely around corners. I can push a bit harder and I feel comfortable. And in that sense, it's like adjusting my mental role centers lower and having more overall grip. So I would actually argue that alcohol lowers the mental role centers, gives a feeling of sort of safety and comfort. And depending on the mood, sometimes that safety and comfort can give you more confidence. Maybe you are a bit more ambitious. Maybe it can seem like you have more initial grip, but actually don't. Like you are just, I think you are socially more comfortable, confident, and you feel safer. And you are okay with pushing a bit harder because you know that you are in the track and you are not going to spin out or flip over or whatever. So I would say definitely a slight amount of alcohol is like lowering your roll center for more overall grip. 100% absolutely agree. There we go. That was a good last questions. But I do not recommend that you all become alcoholics now. Don't get me wrong. BA is racing. JQ's mental axles in BA is raising JQ's mental axles in the hubs. Yes. Yes, something like that. But I would say it's more extreme than that. It's also raising the links on the towers, front and rear, to keep the same balance, but just more in the track. So there we go. Thank you very much. It's been emotional, and we will continue on this journey later on. For now, good night.